Let's talk about base training. Base training is my favorite time of the year because it's where you can just focus on the fundamentals and you don't have to do some of those really crazy hard workouts. But there's a big misconception about the base phase of training that I'm going to address in this video because it's not just about building your mileage. We used to think about base training as the time of the year when you just focus on your volume because you're building that foundation for the rest of the season, that foundation of endurance. And that's correct, but it's missing a key attribute, and that is your foundation of speed. It's not enough just to build a foundation of aerobic fitness, a foundation of durability. We also have to work on that foundation of speed. Let's talk about how we can do that in the base phase without running hard workouts. Okay, so let me first say that it is the #1 goal during any base phase of training to focus on your volume, your mileage, your aerobic fitness, your endurance. This is the primary goal. But we also have to layer in some kind of speed development because if we're preparing ourselves for the rigors of the season, whether that's harder workouts, more substantial long runs, the overall stress of a competitive racing season, we also have to think about getting our body ready for the speed aspect of that. And so one of the things that I've noticed, especially this time of the year, where a lot of adult runners, they'll do their fall marathon and then they won't start training formally for a race until maybe the new year. And there's about 2 months of time where they consider it their off season. Now, I don't really consider an off season an actual phase of training. It's not in the USA track and field coaching curriculum or most running books. So we really have to think of it as base training. And in this phase of training, we should avoid a lot of really hard workouts, but we shouldn't avoid all workouts. These are the workouts that we should put in the base phase, even though workouts are not the goal. By the way, look at how beautiful it is where I am in Boulder County. I'm not in the city of Boulder, obviously, but I am on the Walker Ranch Loop that is in Boulder County. Stunningly beautiful out here. I love it. A big thanks to our brand partner, Beam, for supporting our YouTube channel. Their Dream product is amazing. It is my favorite sleep supplement out there, and that's because it only has 3 milligrams of melatonin. I tend to get pretty groggy if I take a lot of melatonin, especially 5 milligrams, and I hate that. So I love Dream because it tastes amazing. Their cinnamon cocoa flavor is to die for, but it doesn't have as much melatonin in it as some other products out there. And the L-theanine and the magnesium do wonders at promoting relaxation and helping you stay asleep and get that deep sleep that you really need. So if you're someone who struggles getting to sleep, staying asleep, or if you're like me, tonight, I actually have to go to bed at 8 p.m. because I'm getting up at 3:30 in the morning for a 27-mile hike tomorrow. So I need to go to sleep early and get that good sleep. Dream is helping me out. And they're actually offering up to 40% off. 40% if you get a subscription, 25% if you just want to try it for a single purchase. If you go to shopbeam.com/strength and use code STRENGTH for that discount. Big thank you to Dream for sponsoring the channel. Go shopbeam.com/strength. Get your Dream, get your sleep optimized, and take advantage of the #1 recovery tool that us runners have, is a good night's sleep. So there's 2 things that we're gonna do in the base phase in between our seasons, especially if you're gearing up for another spring marathon right around the corner. First thing that we're gonna talk about are the distance runner's version of speed development. This is where we're gonna run strides. I'm gonna put a link under this video to our strides video so that you can start doing these maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I also wanna see runners get in even higher gears than strides. You don't usually reach 100% of max speed when you run strides. And so I like to have runners do hill sprints. Now, hill sprints are 8 to 10 seconds, max intensity, max speed up the biggest hill that you can find, the steepest grade possible. And this is essentially like very running specific weightlifting. You are generating a lot of power, you're building a lot of strength, and you're really engaging the neuromuscular system to produce that power and to gain a lot of coordination. It is one of the most beneficial things that distance runners can do because it's very different than most of what distance runners do. And so therein lies its value. Now, we can also do 30-second hill reps. Now, I've really started to fall in love with these really short, fast, powerful hill reps where you're not actually running max speed, but you're probably running, if you're a highly talented runner, maybe you're running 800 to mile race pace. Or if you've never run those distances, let's go about 95% of max speed. This is faster than a stride, not as fast as a hill sprint, but they're a little bit longer at 30 seconds. So you're gonna really challenge the anaerobic system much more than if you were doing an 8-second hill sprint, which is more challenging to the lactic energy system. So these are the two buckets of speed work that I would really focus on if you are in the base phase, because they are not very stressful, but they pave the way for the harder workouts to come later in the season. So they are incredibly, incredibly valuable. So if we're building that speed foundation while at the same time adhering to the primary goal of base training, which is building that aerobic fitness, we're gonna come out of this 6, 8, 10-week block feeling stronger and faster than ever. Now, of course, put most of your emphasis on the endurance side of things, because that's where you're gonna get the most bang for your buck. And it doesn't have to be all running mileage. We can do a lot of cross training here. And in fact, if you're limited because of your injury risk or just your ability to get outside and go for a run, but you might have a stationary bike or a Peloton or something like that at home, you can get in another couple hours of aerobic training every single week. And that's gonna do a lot of good at building your aerobic system, especially if you're a newer or beginner runner who might only be running, 25, 30, 40 miles a week. If you can really focus on some extra cross training, you're effectively giving yourself another 10 or 20 miles of running every week if you can spend those hours on the bike. I think it's a fantastic way to bridge the gap between low mileage and high mileage. But again, it can't be the only foundation we're building. We've got to build a foundation of speed to go along with that foundation of endurance.